This video was brought to you by CuriosityStream. Get a whole bunch of exclusive TLDR videos and all of our content ad-free by signing up using the link down below. One of the most significant consequences of Putin's invasion of Ukraine has been the strengthening of the already 30-strong NATO. In fact, Finland and Sweden, two countries with a long history of neutrality, have both now decided that the time has come for them to take a side and to join NATO, with both handing in their applications in mid-May. Unfortunately for the Nordic aspirants, though, just a few days later, Turkey's president said that he would be vetoing their applications, and therefore blocking their membership. However, after a bit of haggling, on Tuesday the three countries announced that they'd resolved their differences, and that Turkey now approves of Finland and Sweden's accession into the bloc. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the details of the original disagreement, how it was resolved, and the geopolitical consequences of NATO's Nordic accession. By the way, if you like the channel, be sure to subscribe and help us get ever closer to 500,000. So, let's start at the beginning and why Turkey was ever even angry about this accession. When it comes down to it, most of Erdogan's qualms with Finland and Sweden are apparently due to Kurdish nationalism, and more specifically, the PKK. For those of you who don't know, for the past 4 decades or so, Turkey has been waging an on-and-off war against the Kurdistan Workers' Party, otherwise known as the PKK, a Kurdish nationalist group advocating for Kurdish autonomy in eastern Turkey, and a group who are considered to be terrorists by the Turkish government. Now, while there's no evidence to suggest that either the Finnish or Swedish governments actively support the PKK, Turkey accuses both of them, especially Sweden, of being too soft on the Kurdish nationalists. The thing is that both Sweden and Finland do consider the PKK to be a terrorist organization, and Sweden was actually the first European country to do so, nearly 20 years before the EU followed suit in 2002. So why exactly does Turkey think that they're too soft on their Kurdish enemies? Well, firstly, there's a good number of Kurds living in both countries, and the Kurds who do live there have often campaigned for autonomy. And Turkey claims that Kurdish groups in Europe are helping to fund the PKK. On top of that, Sweden also hosts some pro-PKK media outlets, including Sardash TV. Fourthly, Sweden and Finland have refused extradition requests from Turkey for Kurds living in Europe that Turkey claims are members of the PKK or one of their affiliates. In fact, Turkey has requested 33 extraditions over the past 5 years, according to the Turkish Justice Secretary, none of which have been approved. And according to the ministry, the requested individuals have had links to the PKK or played some role in the 2016 coup. And as such, Turkey are obviously upset that these people weren't extradited as they requested. And that's not even the end of this dispute. Sweden, Finland, and the EU more generally also criticized Erdogan for sending troops into northern Syria in 2019. And Sweden even imposed a partial arms embargo on Turkey in response. While the EU sees Turkey's interference in Syria as essentially a foreign invasion, Erdogan would argue that the Kurdish groups operating in Syria are essentially extensions of the PKK, which Turkey considers to be a domestic terrorist outfit. And in recent months, this has even gone further, with Turkey beginning a new campaign in tandem with Iraqi security forces, targeting the PKK in northern Iraq too. To cap off these tensions, Sweden even has an independent Kurdish MP, who Erdogan has described as a terrorist and who the Turkish foreign minister claims should be extradited back to Turkey. While she might just be a single MP, last year she convinced the Swedish government to increase their cooperation with the Democratic Union Party, a Kurdish political party operating in the autonomous region of northern Syria. And this didn't go down too well with Erdogan, not least because the Democratic Union Party is a political affiliate of the People's Protection Forces, otherwise known as the YPG, which is basically the PKK in Syria. Turkey considers the YPG to also be a terrorist organization, but until recently, Finland and Sweden refused to designate it as such. Anyway, you get the idea. Turkey really isn't keen on the PKK, while Sweden and Finland, and for that matter most other Western countries, just aren't that fussed about the whole issue and consider Turkey's incursions into neighbouring countries pretty excessive. And it's this disagreement which has caused some serious tension between Turkey and the Nordic nations. And as such, when Sweden and Finland applied to join NATO, which requires unanimity among existing NATO members, Erdogan clearly saw an opportunity to extract some concessions, with him saying at the time that he blocked their membership over the PKK issue. And, well, after weeks of haggling, it seems to have worked. Because on Tuesday afternoon, NATO announced that they resolved their disagreements, with Turkey, Sweden and Finland signing a trilateral memorandum later that evening. So what was in that memorandum? What concessions did the Nordic aspirants actually agree to? Well, the agreement opens up with some pretty vague stuff about reaffirming various principles, etc. But the first concrete action comes about half a page in, when Sweden and Finland agree to, quote, not provide support to the YPG-PYD, the PKK's affiliates in northern Syria. Now, this will probably involve designating both organizations as terrorist groups, and possibly extraditing associated persons. Next, both countries agree to, quote, step up cooperation with Turkey against the PKK, and remove any arms embargoes. The three countries will set up a joint committee for enforcement cooperation, and Finland and Sweden will also, quote, address Turkey's pending deportation or extradition requests. In subsequent comments, the Turkish Justice Ministry made it clear that he now expects Sweden and Finland to agree to the extradition of all 33 previously requested persons, which is certainly a big move. And finally, Finland and Sweden agreed to, quote, support the fullest possible involvement of Turkey's engagement in the EU's common security and defence policy, including the PESCO project on military mobility. So that seems like a lot of things that's been agreed to, but what does it actually mean for NATO? Well, the agreement clearly isn't good news for anyone who's sympathetic to the Kurdish cause, especially for anyone living in Sweden and Finland. But ultimately, for supporters, it's good news for NATO unity. Few people expected the three sides to actually find an agreement in time. And it's probably a good thing that NATO has made at least some progress in resolving at least one of its various disputes between Turkey and other NATO members. Nordic accession is also good news for NATO backers because it will bolster the organisation's eastern flank. While Sweden might have to up its defence spending, which currently sits at about 1.3% of GDP, Finland actually has one of the most impressive militaries in Europe. Thanks to compulsory enlistment, Finland has an estimated 900,000 reserve personnel out of its population of 5.5 million, with an active fighting force of 22,000 people. So, while Finland also falls short of the 2% GDP defence spending target, it does have one of the strongest artillery systems in Europe and an impressive air force with nearly 160 planes. So it's pretty undeniable that both countries are a fairly major asset for NATO and help to secure up the organisation's eastern border, if that's something you even agree with in the first place. So those are the terms of the deal and what it means for NATO. And if you think this is a good deal or a sellout, probably depends on your stance on a whole number of complex issues. But if you want to be updated as this story plays out, then you should definitely subscribe to the Daily Briefing, our show where we break down the 5 stories of each day that you need to know about in just 5 minutes. In fact, that's actually where we first reported on this story yesterday. Now, you can watch the show on the Daily Briefing YouTube channel, or you can listen by searching for the podcast. But if you want the extended version of the show, that's an extra 10 minutes every single day and an ad-free experience, then you'll want to sign up to our streaming service, Nebula. There you'll also find exclusive TLDR videos which never make it to YouTube, as well as all of our latest videos ad-free. Now, if you're interested in that, then I've got some good news, because we've partnered with CuriosityStream, home of the best documentaries online. And thanks to them, you can get both streaming services, CuriosityStream for the documentaries and Nebula for bonus TLDR, for less than $15 a year. That's a wild deal, and a 26% discount on their already low price. So get yourself a ton of documentaries and exclusive content from your favorite creators, including the Daily Briefing Extended Edition, by signing up using the link below. Thanks for your support.